You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates. You're listening to Absolute Empowerment with Coach Jeff Connors on The Sports Objective. Join Coach C, a USA Strength and Conditioning Hall of Famer, every Monday night as he and a variety of guests, including former players, former and current coaches, pastors, and others will discuss relevant issues in coaching today's athlete, with the goal of equipping the athlete and those coaching them with the physical, mental, and spiritual armor necessary to live their best life. Here's Coach Connors.
Good evening and welcome to Absolute Empowerment with Jeff Connors. Tonight we have a very special guest in the house, a former NFL running back and also UNC running back, Shaun Draughn. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Appreciate you having me on, Coach.
Well, you are the perfect guest for this show. And the reason is, number one, is we want to bring people to Christ. Amen. And we want to try to talk to people about having a great spiritual life and how meaningful that is to them in relationship, being successful in this world. Mm-hmm. I can't think of a better example than you. Last week I had, of course, Vontae Leach on, and Vontae Leach had an interesting story how he got in the NFL as a free agent and became a three-time Pro Bowler, of course, and to the Super Bowl and so forth. So
that was a good show, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And your story is very incredible as well. Of course, I had the pleasure of coaching you through your career at Carolina, and it was interesting for both of us. I think. I think our last game together was the Music City Bowl. Is that true?
That's right. That's right. Went out with a bang.
That's right, and that was a great win over Tennessee. It was a very interesting win too. The game was over, and then we went in and came back out, or something. It was crazy, but found a way to win it.
That's right. Always got to find a way to win.
Yes, sir. So, Shaun, what I want to do is talk about first is you growing up in Tarboro, and I'm a little bit familiar with Tarboro because I don't live too far from there. I live, at Ironwood Country Club, so that's not too far down the road. And I've always heard, I guess I've always kind of heard of, good football players coming out of that area. Mm-hmm. And of course, I met your father, who came to speak to our team, Pastor Kenneth Draughn, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I met Kenneth and Shirley, and I think it's really interesting, and that your father had started a church. Do you know what year that he started that church in Tarboro?
It was 96, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, he started in 96. Got called to be full-time, I think, 2 or 3 years after that. But, yeah, he started the church in 96.
Okay. And the name of that is Born Again Ministry, the Triumphant Church. Is that correct?
BAM TTC.
All right.
We call it BAM, the BAM flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'd like you to talk a little bit about your parents, talk a little bit about your dad, and, how it, of course, was such an influence to you growing up in a Christian home and also in the church. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like I said, my parents are Kenneth and Shirley Draughn. The parents of three. I have two older siblings, Rashina and Kenitra. And we grew up, very humbly. We actually grew up outside of Tarboro and Leggett. But, my parents were always in the home. I've always seen what an example of what a man does and what a man looks like, how a man takes care of his business and how a man takes care of his family, and how a mom, loves her babies and does anything and everything for her babies. And, I had two prime examples and I'm blessed to still have my parents now.
Yeah.
And they instilled in me from an early age, going to church and just staying humble and just being you, and never getting high on yourself. Because one minute you can have it, next minute you can't. It'll be gone. And my parents always have been there for me, from a little kid playing little league, being at church, and up until now, when I went to the pros, and even now, my mom still thinks I'm a baby. She took the she took the training wheels off a little bit, but that's my heart. She has definitely taken care of me, and so has my dad. Has always been, like I said, two great examples.
Right. Now, do you have any favorite stories, favorite scripture, favorite sermons, or anything that you want to share with us with regard to your dad? Your dad's nickname is Frog, correct?
Yeah, old Frog. He got that nickname from long jump. So he ran track. He
Yeah.
didn't get to play football because he was in tobacco and all this
Yeah.
stuff. Kind of kept him out of it. But he got that nickname from track. Um, but as far as like scripture, growing up, I there is so much, yeah, so that I absorbed,
Yeah.
as a youngin in church, and I'll be real with you. A lot of times I was dozing off in church, but as I got older, I understood that I was actually still I was listening. It was
Right.
there, it was instilled in me. I mean, even at home, I got it. I got scripture and sound doctrine and sound word, from both my parents. And there's nothing in particular that sticks out, but my parents, uh, they always try to raise us, in a way of in the fear of the Lord. And when I got to college, of course, I kind of stepped out and did what I was big and bad enough to do, but in my heart and in my mind, I was always a Christian kid, and I grew up in it. I couldn't really run from it. Even when I was, I would be in a club or something. I always felt out of place. And still trying to, up until this day, that's still me. I don't go to the club now, of course, but being in the wrong place, it's just something about that. I feel like God really had his hand on my life then too, but I kind of did what college kids do. But in the back of my mind, I've always had the Lord at the forefront, and I knew where my help come from, and know where it still comes from now, and it leads and guides my life. So
Right.
I know I got off on a tangent, but yeah, I mean, just
That's
growing
fine.
up in it, yeah,
Well, I mean, I think a lot of collegiate athletes, including myself, put Christianity kind of on a timeout there
yeah,
for
that's
their
true.
collegiate career. There's, of course, a lot of things dragging us all kinds of different directions and a lot of influences, and you got to stay strong. That's for sure.
Yep.
And it's something that I always respected head coaches for, you know, talking about and making sure that members of the team did not neglect their spiritual lives. I always thought that was
Right.
really important.
Hmm.
So, a little bit about tell us a little bit about Tarboro athletics. What high school did you go to, and what other athletes came out of Tarboro that you could think of?
Um, Tarboro athletics, man. I mean, you think about just Tarboro in general. It's a very blue collar town. Not a ton going on there, but it's a very tight knit community. Everybody knows everybody. If I brought somebody home, first question my parents asked, who your mama, who your daddy, because I'm pretty sure knew 'em. But that's just the Tarboro community. And as far as athletics, a lot of your life surround was around sports. Football for sure, and basketball, both in particular. They were, things that people came together as a community around. And when I was there, Tarboro always had, a presence about them in football. Unfortunately, I didn't win any state championships while I was there, but we played some good football. and had some great football players, come through there. Kelvin Bryant, Donald Frank, Derek Black. It's a couple. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but Kelvin Bryant was actually, my mentor, big brother, if you will. Kind of, I always wanted to go to Carolina anyway, but I knew that growing up, he went to Carolina, played running back, and was a legend, and is a legend still to this day in Tarboro and in Carolina. But football in general, man, it's just always been a way of life in Tarboro. It's the way a lot of kids see themselves getting out of certain situations and see themselves getting out of Tarboro, and it wasn't any different for me.
I'm glad I finally found out where your fast twitch qualities came from. Now I didn't know that. Didn't know that's why they gave your dad that nickname.
Yeah, I thought you knew that.
I get it.
Oh yeah, he's definitely quick. Look, he beat me in basketball and then racing until he couldn't no more. And then when I finally beat him, we stopped racing. But yeah, he can run now. He was quick.
Well, I surely enjoyed his messages when he would come and speak to the team.
Absolutely, man. So, guys still talk about that to this day.
Absolutely.
You remember one? I remember one message. I mean, you said so many things over the years, but I can never get out of my head one night we was in the hotel. I forget, we might have been going to play Miami or something, and you were talking about the boiling point of water at 212.
Oh yeah, 212,
yeah,
baby.
212, baby. Hey,
right.
212. Everybody was yelling out 212. Talk about that.
Oh yeah,
man, that thing got me hyped up. I still talk about that to this day.
211 ain't gonna get it.
That's right. Yeah, 212.
But,
where's that?
I remember some guys had that written on their, on their eyes.
On the eye black. We wrote it on the eye black. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you reminding me of that.
Oh man, Coach, we got so many stories about you, man. I'm telling you. I want to give you your flowers while you still can smell them, like my mom always say. Look, I'm gonna put a pause on the show right now and give you your flowers, because without you, man, I know I wouldn't be, where I was when I came out of college, period. And I say to this day, and I tell kids, when my agent hit me up about talking to kids, if you're on a strength program that's working for you in college, no need to go somewhere else. And that was a big mistake on my part, but everybody's talking in your ear, and as a young kid, you're just doing what people in what everybody around you is doing, the popular thing, to be real with you. And I didn't know any better then, but if I could rewind and go back, I would have stayed in Jeff Connor's program and got right, stayed right. And I tell my parents, I tell my wife all the time, a couple of my friends, my first day of strength and conditioning, I remember we was coming from Grandma Towers, came in, and all I remember, this white haired dude just yelling crazy. Man, I already met you, but you were on a totally different level. And I promise you, to this day, and I tell everybody the same thing, you had me second guessing playing college football. I remember the first day we had the cement bags with the duct tape around them, running up the stadium, and then we were doing lunges up the ramp that in the tunnel. I don't know if you remember that, but man, my legs was on fire. Look, that made a man out you, boy. I'm telling you, I was second guessing playing football from that day on. But everything was good. And those 300s, man, hey, that it's a life lesson behind them things. You don't realize it, while you're in it. But man, look, I appreciate you. I really do.
Well, thank you. It's all about that leg strength, man. I mean, I was big on that leg and hip strength now.
That you were.
We're gonna do what we needed to do there, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and of course, I don't know, of course, we could talk a whole lot about that last year. A lot of crazy stuff happened. I still don't understand, but Butch told me to take it easy on the seniors that year, and I didn't know what he meant by that. And I said,
"What that mean,
Coach? Can you kind of define that for me?"
Right.
He's like, "Oh, maybe don't have them carry them big bags of cement up the stadium."
Yeah, right. I know that went in one ear and not the other.
I said, "They're not that big. They're just heavy,
They just heavy. That's it.
So yeah, but yeah, I appreciate it. It was.
Yes, sir.
I had a lot of great times, man. A lot of great times, and
A lot of great times, man.
yeah, and coached a
Time
lot of
flies.
very fine people, and I coached a lot of great athletes there. I mean, I coached,
Yeah.
I think 8 first rounders while I was there,
Yeah.
which I'm also very proud of course.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about when you got to Carolina. Who recruited you there?
Kenny Browning.
Okay,
He
Brown,
was.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I actually came to camp my junior actually I think it was my sophomore year, going into my junior, the summer of my sophomore year. Went to camp, little summer camps they always have.
Yeah,
Um, Went there and kind of just going just to go really. And I tell people all the time, I didn't realize like how good I was. Really until like I got offered a scholarship. Even then I was like, man, this is real. Like I always wanted to go
yeah,
to Carolina. And then I went to the camp, and I remember to this day, it was the second day of camp, and we were all, Coach Bunt was talking to us, and he called. He said, "I need to see Shaun Draughn after this meeting," and this was in front of everybody. And I'm like, I don't remember doing nothing. I knew I was a little mischievous. I was like,
yeah.
I don't remember doing anything, but hey, I go holler at him. And so you remember this one, the field hockey field was still there. So we
Oh
went over
yeah,
to the field hockey side, and he was talking to me. And was just like, man, we've enjoyed watching you in camp and seeing you do some good things. And we also watched the highlight tape, which my dad and a friend of mine, Fleming Thompson, you remember Fleming? He actually played. So
yeah,
his dad
yeah.
put together a highlight tape for me, and I brought it up there with me and gave it to Coach Sanders and Coach Browning, and they watched the highlight tape. And on top of the stuff that I was doing at camp, Coach Brown was like, "Man, we would love to have you here if you want to be a Tar Heel." And
Right.
well, no, he took me around in his truck, and we drove around campus. And
Yeah.
he's was talking to me and saying those things, and then he was
Sure.
like, "Man, if you want to be a part of it, we would love to have you." I was like, say no more, coach. I'm on. I'm all for it. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And I really wasn't highly recruited. Out of high school. I went to ECU for a camp. They wanted me to play safety, but they never gave me an official offer.
Right.
So I end up, of course, committing to Carolina, which I always wanted to go to Carolina, and so there was no need for me to do any other, visits or anything like that. Anyway, even if I had a few interest letters, but no official offer. So,
Sure.
yeah, I got recruited off of camp, and then after that, people started noticing me once I committed. But like I said, that day it was signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, Carolina's got tremendous resources, and it's that recruiting process. I mean, I used to watch everything that we did for recruits, and I'd be like,
Mhm.
man, this is really incredible. I don't know how you turn this place down.
Right,
There's
right.
just so many
And
things
roll
to
out.
see, so many people to talk to who were a lot of well-known people. I was
Mhm.
just amazed at all the important people and like icons that I met during the time I was there. So
Right, right. It's a rich history, man.
yeah.
Can't deny that. Yep.
So you started out playing defensive back, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
And what contributed to that decision? How did you end up on defense first?
So, like I said, at camp, I was doing some stuff with Marvin Sanders and Andre. I forget Andre's last name. Coach Andre. He was the running
Wow.
backs coach.
How?
Andre Powell. And like I said, I brought my tape up, but 90% of it was me at running back.
Yeah.
But they both were like, no, I want to play defense. I want to play offense.
Right.
And I ended up Marvin just saying, well, if you come over here, you're gonna play early. And every kid wants to play early out of high school, and that's kind of how he won me over. But in my heart, I was always a running back. And then
Right.
this leading up to all that, I was terrible at safety. I mean, I'll still come down. I'd knock your head off, but I could make a call. And, hey, look, if anything else, hey, I'm gonna knock your head off. I might not know the play, but I'm gonna come downhill on you.
Right.
But and that's when the coaching change happened when Butch Davis came, and
Yeah.
We had a couple running backs and like I don't know, 6, 7 running backs, and I was doing bad at safety, and I honestly got to a place where I was borderline depressed. Didn't even want to come to the facility, and a lot of people probably don't even know that, but I got to a point where I was like, I don't even know if I want to play football. I thought about
Yeah.
transferring and
Yeah.
all of that, but then it was the end of spring ball my sophomore year in '08. It was in the spring ball. I remember just sitting there on a knee. I wasn't playing. I'm just on the sideline. And Coach Davis was talking to maybe Coach Shoup or somebody. And I told Coach Davis I wanted to holler at him after practice. And he's like, well, yeah, just come up to my office. So I went up to his office. Long story short, I was like, Coach, I don't want to sound selfish, but I feel like I can help this team better if I was playing running back.
Right.
And Coach Davis probably don't remember, but he kind of like scoffed a little bit. Like he didn't. He was like, okay, well, you can definitely do that. You can try, is what he told me. Hey, I was like, that's all I need is an opportunity. And and before that, Kelvin Bryant and my dad, they were both down behind me years before that. Like, you need to go play running back. That's your position. And I
Yeah.
knew that, but it's just having a new coaching regime and not really knowing if I would rub them the wrong way and all these thoughts and everything was going through my head. But when I got to the point where I was like, wasn't even excited about coming to football practice, I had to make a decision then, to go ask. And, I worked my way up from 7 on the depth chart to second up to the start of the season. And then, worked my way into the starting position in '08 and started after that, man. It was all history after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even I just remember in '08 you had some great stats, right?
Yeah, man. I don't think I ended up starting until like the 5th or 6th. I think it was actually the 8th game, 7th or 8th game officially. We played
Okay.
Virginia, and then I had player of the game that game, and had I think 148 rush yards my first time starting. But
Yeah.
I think they were just trying to feel me out and see what kind of numbers I would put up. But every time I got in, I made something happen. You knew I was in the game, so I don't think they could deny it any longer after that. So yeah, God helped me out, and it
There you
was
go.
it was
Well,
a blessing that I made that decision.
the other thing too that was in your favor was you had good hands.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of receptions as well, as I remember.
Yeah. John Shoup did a great job of knowing his personnel and getting different guys involved in the game. And like I said, I was split out sometimes as a receiver. He did a lot of screens, and that translated for
Right.
me on the next level.
Now, your experience at UNC. Who were the guys that are you still friends with some people that you played with? Who were you? Who were your best friends there?
I still talk to Ed Barham, Vince Jacobs, Martell Thatch, EJ Wilson. I
Yeah.
actually Cooter Arnold. I talk to TJ Yates every now and then. He's coaching now. A couple different guys, man. I talk to a lot of guys actually, but those are my main guys, like Ed and Vince and Thatch.
Yeah.
Those are my main guys. We actually get together and play golf a lot. We'll go on a random trip. Let's go see Ed in Florida and get together and go play golf and get together and just fellowship,
Yeah.
man. Those are my guys. Yeah, I actually played golf with EJ Wilson.
Okay.
I think it was Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, we still keep in touch, man. Talk to Mike every now and then, Mike Ingersoll. Yeah,
I need to get on that golf trip, man.
yeah. Hey, anytime, coach.
Find me a spot.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Have you around. We would love that. We would love it.
And
Nothing like anything better.
where do you and EJ play?
He's a member at Pine Hollow out in Clayton, so we played
Okay.
out there. Yeah, nice
Cool.
track too. Yep.
I think I have played that once, so I'm gonna have to check you out on that one too.
Yeah, it's a good track, man. I mean, the greens are always. They probably got some of the best greens around here, to be honest with you, even, the bigger private courses. But yeah,
Right.
Pine Hollow's a good one.
Well, if I'm anywhere in the 80s, I'm happy. I'm just
Exactly.
bogey
Anywhere
golfer.
above that, I'm mad. Yeah, same here.
That sounds good. Okay, so little bit about, I mean, your NFL career is like crazy, man. It's amazing. I mean, and I know one thing. Number one, you have a pretty good agent, whoever it was, and
Sean was good agent. Sean Stellato.
yeah. And secondly, you had to impress people wherever you went because people kept picking you up.
Yeah,
And of course, it's tough to stick with a team no matter what in the league, especially sometimes if you're a free agent.
a lot of times
But
they're free agent.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
but
tough
man,
road.
you hung in there for a long time. But let's talk a little bit about that. First you signed as a free agent with the Redskins in 2011. That was your
Hmm.
first team, correct?
Yeah, that was my first one. And what's crazy is I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I had a chance to go there actually, but
Yeah,
you know how it is. Relationships, is what it's about.
yeah,
And Coach Bobby Turner, who I talked to a lot during the NFL, the combine, which I went to in Indy, we talked a lot, built up a good rapport. So I kind of felt like they might be the ones to draft me.
yeah.
I talked to a couple other teams, but he was the one that showed the most interest. And, I came out during the year of the lockout. And, long story short, during the draft, he called me. The Redskins called me like 3 times
Right.
and said, we're gonna the next pick we get, we're gonna try to draft. And I think he started calling me in like the third or fourth round. And it might have been a second actually. But he said the next pick we're gonna draft you. The next pick they drafted Roy Helu,
Mm.
running back from Nebraska. Then he picked up the phone again. Was like, man, they really wanted we're high on this kid, so we had to pick him up. I was like, okay, that's fine, coach, whatever, don't
Yeah.
matter. Then the next he called me again. Was like, we're gonna pick you with this next pick. Next pick they pick Evan Royster from Penn State. I was like,
Okay.
man, these guys playing games. And he called me again the third time. I was like, man, um, it might be a late round pick if we can't get you. We still want to, would love to have you, but we still, want to draft you. So okay, the draft wasn't over yet, and the long story short, the draft ended, and he called me again and was like, man, I'm sorry we couldn't draft you, and it was a hard spot for me and the other coaches, but we felt like these guys were somebody that was high on our board, et cetera, et cetera. All this, the politician answer, and
Yeah.
but like I said, I had built a rapport with him, and he was like, "Man, I would still love for you to come. After the lockout is lifted, we would still want you to be signed as a free agent." And he called me after the lockout was lifted, but I had like 15 teams call me and wanted me to sign.
Wow.
Um, and I had the decision to go. My last two was them and Cowboys, and I actually, and this is a good point for this show. Like I was letting other things lead me to that situation and not seeking God in prayer. And I actually told my parents, you know, pray about this decision where I should go.
Yeah.
And they called me. It was like, go Cowboys. And I still made the decision to sign with the Redskins. And to this day, not necessarily a regret right now, but it's kind of a sore spot to be
Yeah.
honest with you, because I had a chance to go to a team that I dreamed of playing with, putting that star on, and being able to play with them. That's something I dreamed about, and I didn't get the opportunity, and I really think it's because I didn't see God myself,
Gotcha.
on that decision, which my parents, I lean on them a lot, for
Yeah.
decisions like that, and just to seek out their wisdom and their
Yeah.
wise counsel, because I trust them wholeheartedly, and that decision for whatever reason, and also my girlfriend at the time and my daughter, they were actually in Maryland, so that kind of weighed into the decision as well, but like I said, that was a point where I didn't really seek God on, and which I should have, but it was a life lesson.
Well, I do remember one day, I think it was kind of when you were going through a little bit of what you alluded to, Carolina. I saw you and your parents in the elevator one day, and I think it was kind of like, okay, you're either, I didn't know if you were sticking around or something was going down where you might be leaving, but then, it happened where you changed positions and everything happened for the better. But, I could always see that they were strongly supporting you.
Absolutely. Always.
Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah, I kind of got off the tangent. I know you want to hear the rest of my long journey, but I ended up with the Redskins. Long story short, I went to training camp, and then I actually made it to the last cuts, and they told me they were going to bring me back, and they basically didn't. They cut me, and man, I was still training. And I think this was like August, September when I got cut. And then I was to a point I was like, look, I gotta start making some money. I got a baby. So I went and applied for a job at, it was like a Play It Again Sports or something like that. I went and applied for the job maybe that Friday or something.
Yeah.
It was during the week, man. And like I said, I was praying about it, the whole thing. I'm like, man, Lord, I know, like I knew in my heart, even when I was young, my parents did that. I knew I was going to the NFL, and that I don't know, how it's gonna happen. I just felt in my heart that God put it in my heart, and I knew I was going. And I was at that point, and like I said, I went and applied for a job. The very next day, the Kansas City Chiefs called me for a workout. And so I went to Kansas City. It was between me and Stephon. I can't remember the guy. He played at USC. He was a running back, and then there was another running back, and we all worked out. And I was the one that they chose. And from there, man, things took off. I was out there with Ty Haley, played with some great guys, man. Played up. Huh?
I was just going to say, you spent like 13 weeks on the practice squad and then made the roster, right?
Yeah, the very last game of my rookie year, I ended up playing in Denver. But yeah, I was on the practice squad. They just kept me on the practice squad, and I was getting better. Learning the offense and learning how to be a pro. Really, I had some great man. I had Thomas Jones that I was there. Thomas really took me under his wing, man. Like that's my guy to this day. Took me under his wing and told me this is how you move. In the league, this is how you be a pro. And I watched him. You know, do exactly what he was telling me. And I learned from him, Jamal Charles, Peyton Hillis. I mean, that was like three outstanding guys in the league that put up numbers. And well known. And I got to learn from them my rookie year and my second year there. And it was a good start. And I started to really carve out a niche for myself my second year there, like as a third down special team guy. And I put some film out there. Like you said, I had good hands, so I pass blocked, and then caught a lot of passes and did a lot of third down, and kind of carved out a niche. And that was my thing. Throughout every team that I went through, I was kind of a third down, mix it up guy, and played special teams. Did a lot of dirty work, like Vontae was talking about. You're not a starter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You on special teams, man, and that's something, that's an ego check for a lot of guys, and me included. When I got there, I'm like, special teams, I don't even know how to play special teams. I didn't play in college, so I had to, like, it was like a fish out of water. I'm like, man, I don't even know what's a kick slide on punt, like what's the L4, the L5, So those are all ego checks, but that's how you stay in the league. You take on that role that people are trying to carve out for you, and you just be you, and that's what I did, man. And God blessed me to bounce around 9 different teams, but it was a journey. It was a journey to say the least, man. But I got to do something that I dreamed about.
Well, the special teams phenomenon always makes me think of Ryan Taylor.
Yeah.
Because Ryan, of course, he played several positions through his career at
Right.
UNC, and then he'd be standing on the sideline. Of course, he played special teams, but he wanted to get in the game so bad. He was so mad, and he was always standing, where he shouldn't be standing, too far. So I always had to tell him to get back.
Yeah. Get back.
So finally, he would aggravate me so much. I was like, man, just get back. You're not getting in the game anyway, so get back. He gets so mad at me, man.
I think I remember that story. Yeah. I remember that. Some
Always
guys
in my
would say
way.
that.
But he was a tough kid, man. And
Man.
when he went to Green Bay and played special teams for a few years, it did not surprise me.
Yeah, man. And I mean, that's what he did at Carolina. And the thing is, like, nobody's being told this in college either, that you could be drafted off of special teams. Might be a late round, or you can go as a free agent and play special teams. I mean, you look at Slater, that's all he does. He got one catch recorded since he's been in the league, and that's, I think, 15 years. But he's all special teams, and everybody knows him as that guy. But yeah, I mean, if you're not getting that playing time, in college, shoot, you better tighten up your game on special teams. You might get picked up.
Yeah, he sent me a nice picture of him getting in somebody's face. It was
that's him,
like Ryan right there.
That is him. Yeah, we always talk about Ryan on 300s. He was beast on 300s, man.
Oh yeah,
like it won't nothing.
That's
like
true.
It won't nothing.
That's true.
Yeah,
he was
Ryan's one of those guys. I go to war with Ryan any day.
Yeah,
you better believe it.
Let's talk a little bit about this. I'm just fascinated that you. So after so that was like 2012, you left the Chiefs and went then to the Ravens, right?
Yeah, and with the Ravens, man, it was a short stint there. I think I was there for like 6 or 7 weeks. My first carry of my first game, because Ray Rice ended up getting hurt, and so I was playing. I played special teams, but then the first game I came on, but then Ray ended up getting hurt, so I went in the game. Yeah, my first carry, first play in, got a high ankle sprain. The tight end missed a strong safety coming off the edge on a power play. And he came in and dove in, and my ankle turned in. I tried to tough it out, coach, but it was a no-go.
Yeah.
So, when I was there, I was rehabbing, and this is the thing that people don't know about the league. If you have an injury and you feel like you one of those guys, like the free agent guys always on the bubble, hey, look, give you some game. You better milk that injury and don't practice, because once they get you on film at practice and they feel like you could be out and you're not getting any better, they're gonna cut you, and that's what they did to me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
no doubt.
That's what they did.
Was Vontae then? Was he there then?
Yeah, that's where I played with Vontae at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was with Vontae. Vontae was a solid dude, man. Solid leader. And the Ravens was a different feel out there. It's just like it was a big family in the locker room, and it was. And Kansas City was kind of like that, but not like the Ravens. And when you went there, you see why. They win Super Bowls, because the players they run the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then from there you went to the Bears for a year. That was another 1-year deal. Then the Chargers. That was another 1-year deal. You're still hanging in there, brother. Hanging in there. And then you go to the Browns. That was in 2014.
Yeah.
And then
I can tell you some stories, boy.
You got waived, but then after that you got signed on a practice squad. And then you made the active roster for the Browns as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I signed with them. Man, we had just left San Diego. We flew home on Thanksgiving, and we were finding a rental, and I got boxes in my hand, and I'm moving into this new rental with me and my family, and my agent called me. I was like, man, just got a call from the Browns. They want to sign you, no workout or anything. So my wife is literally moving in the box. I got to pack up, pull stuff out of boxes, get on a plane, and head to Cleveland. And actually that very next Sunday that I played, it was my birthday, so it was a good little birthday gift. And I was there, the remainder of that year, and then some of the year after that, and it was another coaching change, so it was kind of crazy with the Browns.
Now, your wife's name is Shonda, is that correct?
Yes, yep, Shaun.
Okay. So, yeah, she had to be kind of pulling her hair out through all this right here now. I mean, that was.
Man, hey, look, it take a special one to deal with what we go through.
Oh, yeah.
She tell the story all the time. We moved 21 times in 7 years. So it was, and most of the move was on her because I was already gone. Just like the example I told you, I had to leave, and she got to pack up stuff and pack up the kids. With that particular situation, I think it was like 4 games left, so
Yeah.
they ended up staying in North Carolina until the end of the season, and I came home. But yeah, any other time, man, it's her packing up. My agent would come help sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy stories like that, man. I remember when I was with the Bears, I had made the team, and this was the point where I kept getting cut and kept getting picked up. So we were like, okay, we're gonna be smart this time. We ain't moving nothing until I make the team. So I made the team, and 2 weeks, and my wife had moved the kids. My son was 6 weeks old at the time. To
Wow.
move the kids up to Chicago, had boxes and boxes and stuff. We had a little pod, and the very next Sunday, I think they may have came like on Wednesday or Thursday. The very next, we played a game on Sunday. Then that Monday, we're walking in school to take my daughter to daycare. I get a call like, "Look, son, we decided we need to waive you." This is after 2 weeks of being there, and probably 5 days of my wife being there, just getting there, and they waived me, and it's like, "All right, baby, you ain't going to school today," so had to go home. I think 2 weeks later, I got picked up with San Diego, and
That's,
yeah, so there's a lot of stories like that, man. But
well, I see you got those jerseys in that movie room, man, and
yeah, man,
I bet you got, I don't know. You wore a lot of uniforms in the league, man. A lot of colors.
I did. I got a couple of them on the wall. I got the Chiefs, the Browns, the San Diego, and the Niners on this wall. I got a couple players on this wall. I got a lot of other jerseys I haven't framed. I got Cersei's jersey up here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I got a couple jerseys in the hall. Yeah,
So you had a pretty good experience with the 49ers then after that, correct?
yeah, man. That was after I got cut from the Browns, and
Right.
it was. I think it was 2 weeks later after that, I got cut, and then I went there. And I had never started in the league, never started. I always played. I had playing time and played a
Yeah.
lot of special teams, but I never started. And I went to San Francisco, and Reggie Bush had got hurt. I was watching that game. Reggie Bush had got hurt in St. Louis, and
Uh-huh.
my agent called me, was like, they want to. I don't think I worked out. I can't remember. I think they just signed me. And I went down, and it was me and Pierre Thomas that used to play with the Saints,
Okay.
and it was between either one of us. And I didn't think they were gonna kind of give us a little competition the week of, and I thought they were just gonna plug Pierre in because that's typically what they do. They plug the veteran guys and let them play. But man, I went out there. I was like, look, man, this is the 8th team I done been on. Something gonna shake. And
Yeah.
man, and like I always do, practicing hard, showing them I'm hungry, stayed late nights because I got there on Monday. Um, Stayed with my coach Tom Rathman, and just studied the playbook, man. And it was like, Coach, I need to learn this. So I'm in here with him grinding. And he was like, I'll stay here with you if you want to stay. And he did. And fast forward to Sunday, they still didn't know who was going to start. I thought, like I said, I thought it was going to be Pierre. and they had some other running backs there, but I thought they were gonna plug Pierre in because he was a veteran guy. And
Yeah.
before pregame, my coach Coach Tom Rathman came up to me and was like, "You know, you starting, right?" I was like, "I ain't know, but hey, I'm good. Let's go. Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
ready." You know, I go back in the locker room like a kid at Christmas time. I text my wife, like, they just gave me the start, baby. And then I text my mom and dad and my sisters, told them, you know, I'll be starting this game. And, you know, they were super hyped. And, you know, went out there and showed what I could do. And they, shoot, man, it was a dream come true, man. Like, I mean, it was already a dream playing in the NFL anyway, but, you know, to get a start, you know, after all the trials and tribulations and going through the bouncing around, it was like, you know, gratification, you know, that, you know,
Yeah.
I was able to go out there and, you know, do what I did and be on the team that appreciated me and appreciated my talents and recognized that, you know, I was working hard to try to
Yeah.
get there. So that's why the Niners are on the wall. They will forever be my team.
Yeah. What I read, you had like, I don't know, 265 yards receiving or something also.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
I
Yeah.
I was the only one that year to play a whole game without coming out. Like usually they had I think it was the St. Louis. It was no, it was either St. Louis or not St. Louis, but the Cardinals game and the I forget what game it was, but I was the only one to play only running back in the league that whole year to play a full game without coming out, which I thought was crazy. But I you know how no guy was in that is, and I didn't have any mind blowing stats that game. But I had like it was like 38 yards receiving, 58 rushing yards, or 78, something like that. And then it was November 8th, the day of the game. It was a bunch of eights in that during that time. I was like,
Yeah.
man, that's how I knew God was in it. And you know, eight's new beginning. And
Right.
you know, that's how I felt was happening. It was a new beginning for me and my family and you know, just my football career. And it was a blessing, man. It was a gratifying situation.
Absolutely. Well, so, after, I mean, so total, I guess you're with what, 7 teams and then in camp with two more. Uh, so your final year was 2017, then also with another team, the Giants, right?
Yeah, I signed with the Giants in 2017. They wanted to sign me to a 4-year deal, but what they were trying to give me as a bonus, I'm like, man, it's crazy. I mean, because I scored more touchdowns than the forget who they signed, but I had better stats than they did, and they were trying to sign me for something low. And you know, at that point, I was like, you know, I appreciated it, and but I had you know my agent negotiating it, and you know, trying to get me more guaranteed money, which you know is always a struggle with the NFL trying to get
Right.
guaranteed money. But I ended up signing 1 year with them, and then you know, the way the league goes, end up signing a rookie, drafting a
Yeah.
rookie. And you know, I seen that whole story before, the way they draft a rookie, and you know, you're a free agent. You're you're the odd man out, and you know that's kind of how it played out. But the thing was, I actually had an ankle injury my last game with the Niners against the Seahawks, and he they told me it was like go ahead and have surgery because I told him it kept bothering me. Like I was in OTAs and it kept bothering me. It wasn't going away, and I was like, it's something going on with my ankle. Um, Man, I'm never the guy to be like in the training room at all. But I told him like it's something going on with my ankle, so I went and got X-rays and stuff, and it was like floating bone going around in my ankle, like my ankle joint, and
Yeah.
that's what the pain was. Like it was pinching, and so they told me to have surgery, and I end up doing it, and because they were like have surgery so you can be ready for the season. I was like, man, I never had a team tell me that. Like I'm always scratching and clawing up till you know the last cuts, you know, to really feel confident that I made the team. But they were like, nah, you good? Go ahead, have the surgery so you can be ready for the season. So I went ahead and had the surgery, and you know, long story short, they used it against me. And then you know after that, I ended up playing in a preseason game that I shouldn't have been playing in because it was like 5 or 6 weeks after surgery that I ended up having it. and it was just not a good situation. So my last team didn't end well, and my exit out didn't end well. It wasn't a storybook, but again, I had some highs in my career and some lows in my career, but ultimately, I was able to blessed to live a dream and do something that millions of people desire and dream about doing. And I was
Yeah.
ever grateful, that I was able to do it. So.
Well, we were our last game at UNC was the Music City Bowl, and in 2018 we both got out and retired. So we got strong outlets
You
there.
covered out.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
I kind of got forced into retirement too, but I survived. I think with 7 head coaches, so I can't
Yep.
complain. But
I get it. Same here.
I see your pictures, and my wife and I, we love to go on vacations together, and I see you all love to do the same thing.
Yes, sir. We do, man. Love to get away.
We try to plan something 3 or 4 times a year, and we just now we're trying to recover from Valentine's Day. Now we came up to Raleigh to the Maiden, a nice hotel, had a
Oh yeah,
package
Cary.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Cary, downtown Cary. That's a nice hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you there's a restaurant right down the street from that. It's called MC Chan's.
Yeah, they were booked, so
Oh
we
yeah.
had to eat at the hotel, which wasn't bad either. But
Yeah.
I'm
They
gonna
had
hit
good
that.
food.
I'm still
Yeah,
gonna
you had
hit
to try
that.
that next time.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, yeah. So you're in Apex, and just say a few things about your family. What are y'all into right now? Do you work at all, or what do you do?
Yeah, so we're in Apex. We've been in Apex since 2015. We actually bought a house, built a house in my while we were in San Francisco, built a house and settled down here, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah.
It's a good area. My wife, she ended up she ended up getting her license in like 2015 or something like that, her real estate license.
Okay.
So she's a licensed broker. Um, and she's been doing that, and a lot of stuff has taken off for her.
Yeah.
She's been with 3 different companies, but this company, she's with Compass now, but she started her own real estate team within Compass.
Okay.
So that I'm very, very proud of her for doing that, taking that step, because she was, kind of hesitant about it, and she has a lot of great qualities. People they love my wife. People love my wife. She has this gift, man, where she'll sit down with a stranger and they just start telling her their life story, and it's like, well, and then they get up like, I don't even know why I was telling you that, and she has that gift about her, and just a very
Yeah.
receptive, non-judgmental spirit about her, man, and that's what people love about her, and including me. But
Yeah.
she has that about her and that quality, and people want to follow her and be around her. And I said, a real estate team, a lot of people other than me, but a real estate team would be perfect, for you to
Yeah.
start. But it takes a lot. It takes for people to kind of tell you and show you and explain to you your qualities, because a lot of times we're always our biggest critics. And
Right.
it wasn't in a different situation. And she started her team. My daughter, London Grace, is in the 6th grade. She just finished her basketball season in middle school, and my son Camden Drone is um, he's playing like travel basketball right now, but he is a diehard football guy all day long. And but he loved it more than I did at that age. And coach, he'll sit down and talk to you about football, and you be like, "How do you even know that?" And like my wife is always baffled, like, because she asked him, what college somebody went to the other day. He was like, LSU. Like, wow, how do you not know that? Like, he thinks the stuff that he knows is common knowledge to people.
Yeah.
But he's all about football, and they're both doing well, man. Proud of my kids and my wife. Um,
Awesome.
I'm in real estate. I end up I kind of fell into real estate in 2014, kind of when I had a lull in playing football, and then got into, the investment side of it and,
Sure.
the flips. And so I was doing flips since 2014, and then I got into it really heavy once I was done playing. And, kind of wanted to learn the new construction side of things.
Yeah.
So I actually went and got a job with 2 track home builders. So I was doing that for the last 2 years, and also doing our own investment building and stuff like that. But now, full time in our endeavors, I'm a
Yeah.
builder slash investor. Studying for my GC right now. Hopefully take the test in March. So that's what I'm doing, man. I do a lot of builds in Durham. That's mainly where I've been focusing and where my deals have came from. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I'm in the real estate world, man, enjoying it. We my wife and I tried to go the franchise route, and things kind of went south there. We never got into it, but just leading up to it, just some things that I try to get into different endeavors, and I always got led back to real estate. So that's how I know where I'm supposed to be. So
Well, that's another commonality we have. My wife's been a realtor since I don't know,
yeah,
somewhere in the mid-90s, and
mm,
she does extremely well. And she's
right.
just like you said, people love her. And but I'm probably not going to do real estate. I might be good for putting signs in yards. That's about the only thing I
That's
can.
about it.
But,
I heard that.
but I
Yeah.
certainly respect her for her success.
Yes, sir. Same.
I
Same.
really
Yeah, it
do.
takes a different person to deal with
Oh yeah,
people. Yeah, because the clients can be a
we
handful, to say the least.
yeah, I
I'm
really
sure you
enjoy
know.
spending a lot of time with my wife now because I spent so much time away,
Yeah,
coaching career. So I really enjoy it.
yeah.
And so I'm actually here at the Hilton here in Raleigh, and going to head up to Ohio State tomorrow for their strength clinic. And
Okay.
so I'm still kind of staying connected and still have a little bit of an interest in things
Right.
because I have an interest in maybe writing. I wrote a couple books. I have an interest in maybe writing another one.
I need to get with you too, man, on writing my book. My parents down behind me about writing a book.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I just don't know where to start. They talk about just start.
yeah,
It ain't
I
that
can
simple.
probably help you a little bit there. I mean,
Yeah,
self-published thing if you want. That's probably
yeah,
the easiest thing to do. Put them on Amazon, and I never thought I'd make any money on a book, but I made a little bit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, put it out there. It ain't for everybody, but some people can use it and get something from it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. But you say you headed to Ohio State?
Yeah, going to go up there. Mickey Marotti, their strength coach. I've known him for quite a long time, and I
Okay.
think he's definitely. I don't know if he's the highest paid guy now, but he's right
Okay.
up there with them. He's been with some
Yeah.
very successful coaches, and that's
Yeah.
what you got to do if you want to get the big money. So, he's
That's
done
right.
very
Got to
well
rub
for
some
himself.
shoulders. Ryan Day was actually in Cleveland when I was there. He was the quarterbacks coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
He's a good guy. Doing great out there too.
no doubt. Well, I'm going to have to close it, and I really appreciate you coming on. And the other thing that I always talk about is kind of the things that kill an NFL career. And that's one of the reasons that I started Armored Life and started doing these podcasts because I saw so many guys go by the wayside for different reasons,
Hmm.
and so we want to keep encouraging people to have a spiritual life as
Absolutely.
athletes and
Absolutely.
keep fighting the fight, stay positive, and I really want to try to get more athletes to watch these podcasts and hear from guys like you
Hmm.
who really have an amazing story of success through faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I certainly appreciate everything that you've accomplished, and I give a lot of credit to your parents, and please give them my regards.
Will do. I'll make sure I send them this link so they can watch it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
tell EJ and Ed and those guys that they need to subscribe.
I'll tell her. I'll make sure I do that. Yes, sir.
All right, I'll be looking forward to that golf game.
Hey, let's do it, man. Anytime. I told you, you in the area, man. Holla at me. I'm here.
Okay. Well, this is Coach Jeff Connors signing off for Absolute Empowerment, and God bless everyone. See you next week. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
You've been listening to Absolute Empowerment with Coach Jeff Connors on The Sports Objective. Join us every Monday night for a new edition of the show. Listen to the show pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. Be sure to follow us on social media at The Sports OBJ on Twitter and TikTok, at The Sports Objective on Instagram. Like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. And go Pirates!